Hi, this is IK. Welcome to function, JavaScript function. This is function. We write this as a function. It means that it is a method of object reducers. And now I change the syntax like down here in comment. It means now it is right as a function. It is name of function, parameter go here in parentheses. In curly brackets it is programmed what we want that function to do. And now I give here comment and delete this comment. You can compare this. This is pair value. It is post delete. Delete is properties of object reducers. Click here, blue. Here it is blue. It means that this yellow here it is inside that curly brackets is script what we want that to do post delete. But again, post delete syntax as this is post delete is a key value method, key value notification. It is key and this is value. It is member, it is properties, not key. It is properties of object. Object can have properties and can have a method. Only properties or method. And this is properties, post delete. But when properties there is a value, this is value, all this is value. When all this is value, when properties, where value of properties is function, that properties is method. It is identifier of method. Post delete is a method. Why? Because value is function. Value is function. A method, we call method function. Method is function. And object can have method and properties. Properties is object again. And properties can have properties again object. It is dot notation. Object dot object dot object dot object 1 dot object 2, etc. And here is syntax post delete is identifier column. Okay. This before column is identifier. It is properties, and properties have a value. This is value, but that value is a function. When value is function, post delete is method. Here is that possibility, that writing, that confusion when we write some method confusion between function and object. And that confusion is concretely here, and it is working. When we change that, it work. Look at, I can refresh, I can delete, there is no post. Again, delete, there is no post. Like here, also, delete, there is no post. And let's go to see grammar, JavaScript grammar, what say about function. JavaScript is a multi-paradigm, dynamic language with types and operators, standard built-in objects and methods. Its syntax is based on the Java and C languages. Many structures from those languages apply to JavaScript as well. JavaScript supports object-oriented programming with object prototypes and classes. It also supports functional programming. This is, in this moment, important for us. It also supports functional programming. Why? Since functions are first class. Here is very important. I didn't spoke about functional programming because it was not a moment in before. But now, when we have a lot of experience with a lot of video before, like our experience in learning and working, exercise, we now, it is time for spoke about functional programming. Functional programming, it is support functional programming since functions are first class. And I click that I see what means first class, functional first class. And now is very important, explain all our confusion. Programming language, first class function. Programming language is said to have first class functions when functions is that language, in that language are treated like any other variable. Excellent. And all confusion is from this. I said, we declare variables. We declare variable equal and assign value. What assign value? Arrow function. I said, we declare object equal arrow function. Variable equal object. Object variable, it is same thing. And that object, that variable equal, we declare equal and assign a value, assign arrow function. And here it is, first class function. A programming language is said to have first class function when functions in that language are treated like any other variable. Function is variable. In JavaScript, function is variable. Any other variable. Functions is any other variable. For example, in such a language, a function can be passed as an argument to other function. Function in that language are treated like any other variable. For example, in such language, function can pass as any argument to other function. It is parameter. It can be parameter, argument or parameter. Function can be parameter or argument of function. And for example, I said that argument to that other function can be returned by another function and can be assigned as a value to variable. We have all that example, lot of in past hour, and now there is no confusion. Because of that, I can write like function. It is a syntax of function, name of function. In braces, in parentheses, we have parameter state and action, and in curly brackets it is body of function. But when we syntax like this, post delete column, it is identifier, post delete. Identifier of what? Of properties. It is properties. But that properties, value of that properties, it is this part, is function. When value of properties is function, that properties is not, that properties is method. And this sentence, when I said that properties is a method, is very confused for me. What all my life live with properties as something one of possibility in object. Every object can have properties and method. Properties is always variable. It is always object. Properties. Object have object. And it is properties. But method, it is function. It is name and there is function. Function, name of function, parameters in parentheses, and in curly brackets we have body of function. It is method or function. But now I can set these properties because I write it like properties. Properties column, this is property, but when I look value, that properties is method. That sentence before 1-2 months was impossible for me to say, but now it is for me became normal, and the confusion in JavaScript not exist more. But confusion is very fresh in my memory, and I understand and I thinking about how must be confused people who start from JavaScript, this kind of, who start programming now from beginning, and first lectures was some video like mine. I call it for total beginners, but I hope in the future, when I have more and more community around my video, some of them will said how hard confusion they go by learning to learning by my video. And what else must open and look at and learn from? I hope will be more subscriber and will be more comments, and some of comments would be like that. It will help all learners, all students in the future. Back to grammar, JavaScript grammar. JavaScript grammar. For example, such language function can be passed as an argument to other function, can be returned by another function, and can be assigned as a value to variable. Can be returned and can be assigned as value to a variable. Is in assigning function to variable. Look at here. My video is a lot of React, Redux, a lot of example like this. And passing function as an argument. Here is a function greeting console log greeting, say hello, JavaScript. Yeah, it is here. Say hello. Here it is. Say hello. Greeting. Say hello. Here is name of function is greeting, and in parentheses we have two parameters. One of them is say hello, this function. We have a lot of example like that. And the structured, for example, now I remember the structured assignment, where we have a function set state, and because of that, when we see this, we don't know what is it, but we must see this, that we know, aha, it is a function. We must know in all story, we must know what it is. For example, let's go here in our I can see add comment, add post form. Look at this. Here is a destructured assignment. Right side is assign. Left side equal left side. We assign right side always. And now use state hook function is assigned this array. And when we go from top to down, we will see later that set title, set content, set user ID, there is parenthesis and there is properties, there is argument. And we know this is function. How we know it? We know it by syntax. Syntax of function, calling function, activate function, is name of function and parenthesis, inside parenthesis parameter or argument. But syntax of properties is this. This is properties. This is a variable. This is variable. And this is declaration of variable, declaration of object. Declaration of object. There is no parenthesis. It is only difference. Here is a parenthesis. Without parenthesis, it is object. It is name of object, variable also. And with parameters, I know that it is function, and because of that, here this function. But how we know that it is properties? We know that title, content, user IDs, properties, because we look at now title. Here it is. Here it is. Title. It means that it is a value inside input. It is a value of input box. HTML element input box. Input box is self-closed tag. Here it is, slash and sign greeter. Self-closed. There is no two tags, but one tag, self-closed tag. And the value is title. This is not it will be function, but title. Title is properties, it is object. Also here, content, object. And let's go back to grammar. Returning function. Returning function is function what have return. Here, function say hello, return, arrow function, this arrow function, return. And what will be return? Will be return result of function. Return means that the function give back calling, something calling function. It is a return. Who call it? Function return. Here is interesting component, all is component, and post list. Post list there is parent to lot of React components. Look at here. A button is HTML element, and component post author, time ago reaction button, link. Look at post author, for example. It is a component, but like scripting like here, we call a React element, because here is HTML element. And now we have a React element. And the React element, for example, post author, it is calling React element. We call parent component call. It is some kind of calling post author. Post author is object, but post author, because component is object, but post author is function. function. Object post author equal function. It means that post author is function, is a method in object, and that function will return something, and that return we will see on the screen. Behind of post title we will see name of author, post author return, and let's see that post author. Look at the return. There is a return. Post author, there is a return. It means that post author is a function that return something. To whom? To calling function. Who is calling function? Who is calling function to post author? Post author is called function. What is a calling function? Calling function is parents component is posts list. Here it is. Posts list is a function because that variable post list, we declare variable post list, equal function, arrow function. Equal arrow function. Post list. Post list. All of this is post list. Here it is yellow, from yellow to yellow, yellow to yellow. Here it is square around, like sign, who is pair, curly brackets, pair of curly brackets. And post list is variable but equal arrow function, and all this is inside body of arrow function. And that curly brackets means it is a block also. It is body of function, but it is a block, and inside block a living variable, born and die. Born and die. It is life of variable is inside block, and that block produce something. What produce? This after return, and this produce posts. It is title of this section, and here is data. Rendered post. Rendered post will be here. Rendered post. It is post list. It is rendered post. Where is rendered? Here it is. Rendered post. We use HTML. We use React element, HTML element. It is JavaScript extension, JavaScript XML. Here we are again in grammar. Here it is return function. We return function. And in this example, we are returning a function from another function. We can return a function because functions in JavaScript are treated as values. Well, it is very, very logical because function is always some result of function. It can be values, but it can be calling other function or other or some adding other doing. Can be value, but or can be calling next function and start the next process. Here is a grammar of data types. Data types is number, big int, string, boolean, symbol, undefinite, null. And now it is important. Everything else is known as object. Common object types include function. Function is object. Array, date, regex, error. And now, functions aren't special data structures in JavaScript. They are just special type of object that can be called. Special type of object that can be called. And we call object all the time. React element is object, and we call object and we call really we call function, because object equal function. And okay, let's go to see our post slice here. Post slice again. Here is a declaration of object, what we call initial state, because at beginning, when we first time open application, we don't have any state, but reducer, there is input state and action. And when we open application, we don't have state, we don't have action, but on the input, but we don't have a state in that store. A state is empty in that store, and that state is always connected with the input, that state origin. Go, you remember graph, go to input of reducer, and input of reducer is that state and action. But at beginning, at first opening, we have not state, nothing, and because of that we write here initial state, and we have two posts for initial state, and it is object initial state that declare object equal, and we assign this value, this array, we assign to that object initial state. And that array, there is two members, every member is object. Here it is, object. Object is, look at how it is writing. It is object what we have a pair, identifier, column, value, and comma. Title, identifier, title, comma, value, first post. And it is a string, and it is all string and must go to quota, single or doubles, it is equal. And comma, then pair, identifier value, or properties value, content properties value, date, date, identifier date is function sub, and comma. Again, it is, and here it is object -10 dot that object. There is pardon, that sub function, there is a parameter, two parameters, and that together, look at now these constructions. Here is very, very interesting construction, because here is a syntax of function. It is a name of function, and in parentheses we have a parameter, new date, one parameter, comma, is the limiter of parameter, and second parameter is concretely value in curly bracket 10. It is two parameter, and it is function with, but with that function we have it is function without with two parameter. Yeah, and we call function like this. We call function name, identifier of function, and the parameter in parameters or argument. It is a calling function, and the called function will return here something, and that what return is object. And concretely, this function is object. How I know this? And writing like how I know that is because dot properties, but it is not property, it is a method, because there is a parenthesis here. There is a name of function, and here is a parenthesis, and it is not properties, it is method. It is method. Again, function dot method. I must say that in all my application, I learn from original documents, authors of Facebook, and I first time see now construction like this: function dot method. It is method. It is method. That function is object, and that object have method. This method, and we call this method. And when we call some method, we must call at first. We must call object. We cannot directly call method, because method is encapsulate inside object. We must call object dot method. Excellent. Very, very interesting for learning this syntax. But of course, now I lot of knowledge about function equal object. Function is like variable, and I know explain and this one syntax. And reactions. Reactions is identifier, is properties, column, and it is object. Value, 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 but here value is object. Object is value, and that object there is a pair. Identifier A, column, value, and right side is value. I here write it without quote, like here. When I create quote, it is a string, but here it is number. Number, because I didn't write quote around, and it is number, and it is pair. Identifier column value, identifier column value, or properties column value, properties column value. It is object, and it is finished. This is one post. Second post is also like this. object like this with a pair, with comma and pair, identifier value we call plain object. And we work here in Redux. All the time we work with that kind of object, plain object, created pair value, identifier value, and comma around after any pair. Plain object. And all our objects until now in our application in Redux is a plain object. It is to post, and now we declare post slice, and again it is equal function create slice. It means that post slice is a method of some bigger object. What now here is not important. Is properties. What value is function, and post slice is we declare object variable post slice equal function, and create slice. What will create? But let's go to say concretely how it is right. Create slice in curly brackets. It is a block. It is a living scope of any properties. We have pair, name, column, value. It is a script. It is a string value of identifier name, properties name. We can add not only pair, but we can after comma we can give complete object, because that initial state, what it is object. It is object, and inside that object again we have a pair, etc. And we can write this, but better solution is declare object initial state, and it will be array, yeah, and add initial state, because we create array, two members, not one, but we can write all that directly here instead of this, but it would be very no practical. We can write initial state double, and copy all this. I can create this. I copy all this. Here it is, and look at here. Initial state, constant post slice equal create slice, unexpected token bubble made also. Yeah, compiled problems. It means that I have something wrong. post slice. I have error in syntax, and for this video I don't find where it is, but to do undo. But there is initial state. This here it is. Okay. But all that is first. Let's go to see. But you understand that it is. It means that better like this than go inside inside here, and it will be confused situation. It is not good. It is not clear coding, scripting. When we if I incorporate all this here in post slice instead of initial state, better like this. And we prove that a lot of error can be when always do that when you can something bigger part or smaller or bigger part of script create separate variable better than all variables go directly. And okay, and after that we have pair reducers, and now we learn that after comma we can write here object. It is object initial state. It is concretely array and comma, and now reducers array is object. Our object can be array, and it's better to say array, but we see in grammar that array is object also. And reducer column, it is identifier, reducers plural, equal curly brackets, and it is blue. Where is pair? Here it is. Here it is. It means that reducers object identifier properties inducers, post slice is object, and reducers is properties. There is one reducer, second reducer, third reducer, fourth reducer. We have 4 reducers, but reducers, not but, reducers, reducer, every reducer is function, and I write these reducers as a function, but I can write them as properties. We saw that, and properties column, identifier of properties column, and value. Value is function. When value is function, it is method, and all is correct by grammar. Reducers plural column, and that reducers is object. That reducers, that properties is object, and in that object we have writing like this, It is post edit is again right here like object. Right here post edit is right here as properties, as object, because there is two method. Post edit, there is a two method, and that we can write that method. It is possible only when we write this identifier, not like function, because post edit there is a two function, and better write here like this: post edit column and object. That object there is a two method. One method is reducer and one method is prepare. Reducer always have state and action. State is original state. Original state. And this is moment when we must decided what we have, what is a payload, what will be, what we do, what reducer do with payload, push, but it would be immutable kind, not like this directly that state. Look at it is a state. Here it is, state, and concretely now that state of post is to initial value, and when we write post will be push to state, will be third members, and function reducer, state action parameter, and in body we write expression what to do with payload, what to do with payload. And what it is payload? What is payload? Prepare function. In prepare function we declare we have what is payload. Payload and here is interesting, that function will return that payload. Will return. It means that post edit function post edit will return, we have here return this payload. And prepare, there is a parameter is only field, only members of object what we choose. All right, here is the choosing option element, and this we must write this, and we must write this in input box and in text area. But return is important. It means that post edit function will return a payload, and here payload is also object, and in curly brackets we have pair ID, properties, and value, date, value, title. Here it is, title. Title is like initial value, like initial state here. Only title. There is no pair. Why? Because title will be value of title coming, and content coming from writing coming from use state hook. Use state hook. Local value, it is a local state. Title and content is a local state. What we change by immutable way in add with add of use state hook. Here again we have a pair identifier user, and user ID will be value. And reactions is object, curly brackets, that it is pair, associate pair, identifier value. For identifier is the same what properties, and properties can be method when value is function. And here we see that we can write it as because here we have not we have reaction added. We have reaction added post update. Reaction added. There is only click on button. Only click on button, and every button must have state. It is null. It is 0 is initial state, and when we click on button, action will push reaction edit will push reaction added action, and here is reaction added as method, as function, reaction added, and here is that function. There is two arguments, state and action, and here we must we must write script what we do, what is it payload, what is payload, and what to do with that payload, what to do. And this is important. Plus plus means add one, plus one. Every click on button means plus one to that button. And here is also, it is function, and in body of that function we must script what is payload. Here it is, what is payload, and what to do with this payload. Post delete is function, and in argument is state and action, and in body of that we must script what is payload, payload is ID, and what to do with the payload, what to do with the payload. Here is a graph of React Redux, and you look at here in reducer. Here in reducer, reducer have state in input. It is always connected input. Reducer input is connected with the output state. Reducer have output state, and that state is connected to input of reducer. It means that state is always on the input of reducer, always on output and always in input. And action, what coming from here, action must declare, must script action. We must know what we return. We return that must be returned payload. Payload is and we must say what is payload, and what to do with payload. What to do with payload. And that is here in a script. Every slice here, and it is named slice also. It is a function, it is properties, we will see. And now it is not confused, we are not confused. We see that state and action. State and action. And this is action. This is action. Action. This is action. And action is depend about what happened on the in a reducer, in component. It is action, but this is a state. State. This is state. And state and action. Reducer. Here it is. State, action. This is state, but action coming with action payload, and we said always we must said what to do. What to do. What to do with that payload. Action, because of that we call is reaction added, is also action creator. Action creator, because action is object and plain object. What means that action have a pair, identifier and value, associate pair, name, value, name, value, name, value. It is plain object, and that plain object coming to reducer, plain object. But who create that plain object? Create reaction added, post updated, create creator, action creator. And it is not something confused when we know all that what we said until now, and because that function with the state and action like reducer declare payload. Here it is the structured assignment. We have two variable here, post ID and reaction, and we know it is payload. It is payload, and here it is what to do with payload. It is action, but because that reaction added, there is a state also here in argument. It is also reducer. Reducer, function reducer, because look at again. Without original state in reducer, we cannot declare, we cannot descript action. We cannot, how? Because here it is. This depends about state. What to do with payload? State, find, and that to do. Grow for one, add one after clicking button. And we spoke about state. It is always about state. Because of that, we must have here input state and action. But when we have input state, original state, payload coming and reducer will mutate that state. What state? That state. Concretely, mouse over. Here it is. It is state, and reaction. Here is this is state. Here is a reaction. Reactions will be mutate in an immutable way. Immutable way. Again, function reaction edit. There is a two parameter, two argument. Look at graph. Reducer, there is two parameters, state and action. And reducer, there is output state. That output state is connected with input to reducer. And in input of reducer, we have always a state, but when action coming with action type and action payload, and action type said what to do with payload, +1, push, etc. Reducer will mutate in immutable way thanks to IMER library, what coming with the Redux Toolkit. State action. State action. And that state action, reducer and state, all that is in slice, in post slice, comment slice, in slice. And we must that import to create store. We must import all that slice and create store by function create store. But reducer, state, action, reducer, and all what create action, action creator, all that is in slice, state, action, all that in slice, and store, import configure store from Redux Toolkit, configure store, object store equal function configure store, and all this reducer coming here in combine reducer, object reducer, it is pair value, it is associate pair, identifier is reducer, name reducer, properties reducer, properties of object store, properties reducer. There is there is this object reducer. Value of reducer is this object, and that object there is a pair identifier value, concretely 7 pair, properties counter 1, counter, post, users, comments, replies 1, and the value counter 1 reducer, counter reducer, posts reducer, users reducer, comments reducer, replies reducer, replies 1 reducer. All that is here, and must be import slice. All that coming from slice, and it means that we script reducers in slice. Every features there is only one slice. there is only one slice, and one slice can have more slices, can have more action creator, one or more action creator. And post slice, there is a 4 action creator. But action creator cannot be created without state. Without state, because action creator create action, but also it is function, but also must know what to do with payload, and the payload there is payload influence state. Payload is a load that must be push, add, etc. to state, to original state, and that action in reducer with state and action together in reducer mutate, reducer function, reducer mutate state in immutable way. Okay, for now it is I think enough for this video. I think I will spoke a lot of this, and now I think that we comment a lot of thing, possible all. Something else we have in slice. Every slice. Let's go to see post slice. Post slice. Post slice. We have down export and export. We have 2 export. It is because we have it is not like React. Only React, every component there is only one export. Can be only one export on one component. But here we have 2 export, and but only one is default. Only one is default. It must only one is default, and second is this. That is important for Redux. In React, we need only default, export default component, but here we need also this export of actions, and export default reducers. Post slice, export this because actions is properties of post slice. Reducer is properties of post slice, and we cannot export in one statement, in one expression, because post slice dot reducer we cannot point action. We cannot write here point we cannot write here point action, because it is not true. Actions is hierarchies. Post action is not properties of reducer, but properties of post slice. And reducer is properties of post slice, and actions is properties of post slide, properties of post slides, and we must have to export export actions, but reducer is here default. Reducer is here default, and all that two properties of post slides, actions and reducer, talk to us, mean for us that must not be confusion. Slice is a scripting, reducer and actions. All about actions and all about reducer is here in Slice. And who help us that? Help us this excellent create slice function would help us by very little scripting to do job. Create slice is a function what coming with the Redux Toolkit. The last one toolkit, the last version of Redux Toolkit is newest method, newest way to create a Redux. An excellent way, and I like Redux Toolkit, and I hope you too like, because step by step there is no confusion, there is no more typing, always better than before. Create slice. And also one important function is in store create configure store, and here it is configure store. That two function from Redux Toolkit is very, very important. If you know somebody need a video like this, tell them. Share about this video by your social network. Like if you like. Subscribe if you need in future follow this series of video. And your engagement is a plus for growing our community around this video. And again, I said in the future, when would be more subscriber and more engagement, some subscribers, some would be write comment, and in that comment write what confused them, and we all can help give our explanation. It is very, very important, your explanation for me as author, because all explanation what I talking is my point of view, and better is more point of view, better for all, better for learning all of us. Thank you for watching this video. See you next time.